You seem hungry. Good thing your table is ready with Saturday Omaha.
Saturday Omaha.
Eat this.
Hello and welcome. Dave Zorko here, and this is a two-part episode for you all about the 2025 Omaha Hospitality Hall of Fame inductees. The Hall of Fame was created in 1993 to recognize achievement in the hospitality industry. I had the opportunity to sit down at Metropolitan Community College with my co-host Brian O'Malley, the Associate Dean of Culinary, Hospitality, and Horticulture at Metropolitan Community College Institute for the Culinary Arts, and we were able to talk about the 6 inductees for 2025. They are restaurant manager Andy Reetz of Champions Run, Chef Jim Major of Abraham Catering, restaurant owner Loren Koch of Brother Sebastian's, advocate and owner Michael A. Kelley of the United Retail Liquor Association of Nebraska, purveyor Chad Hartmann of Glen Valley Foods, and Chef Doug Case of Udalali. You're going to learn more about these 6 individuals. We're going to have this as a 2-part episode, so there'll be a little halfway break. Get ready to meet the inductees and get ready to connect with food. Hey everybody, this is Dave Zorko with Saturday, and I am sitting in the palatial Metropolitan Community College studios currently with some wonderful guests. You have an opportunity to hear some voices from the induction of the 2025 Omaha Hospitality Hall of Fame, and so we're going to go around the table because I have a very full, wonderful table, much like a good meal. So this is excellent. I am sitting here myself, and to my left, so we have Chef Doug Case. Doug, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Awesome, fantastic. And at the far end of the table, Andy Reetz. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me today. It's an honor.
Awesome. And then over to my right and across from me is a voice that listeners may remember, and that would be Chef Brian O'Malley. Brian, how are you?
I'm sad for why they would remember it, but I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
It is always good to hear your voice. So this is the first time I have been honored to sit and meet both of you gentlemen, and so we're going to talk a little bit about yourselves so that people get to know you, and then I might lean on Brian a little bit here too to kind of add some commentary on the Omaha Hospitality Hall of Fame in general, and kind of what a little bit of history there as well. So, I'll start with Doug. So, Doug, first of all, how are you today? Let's start there because that's probably the most important thing.
You know, for a Tuesday, I'm doing really well. My productivity was good. My energy level, life's good right now. Talk to me again Thursday.
Well, I was reading through your bio, your nomination for this award, and it was such a fun, just multifaceted write-up on many of the things that you have done. So you kind of got your start at M's way back, and kind of help with some of the menu design there. A lot of people familiar with M's Pub.
Yes. Wow, I was very lucky. I tell people that my culinary career started in reverse because my first position at M's Pub, my sole responsibility was to create, we had a menu that changed every night. Yeah. So myself and one other chef wrote the menu every night. So creative freedom, no idea how to manage a kitchen whatsoever, but 5 years of really being able to hone my craft in a kitchen, work for some great people. It was a great time in my life.
Absolutely, and still a wonderful restaurant.
Absolutely timeless.
Pillar of downtown, survived the fire, and all of those things. So and just kept bouncing back and improving there. So, the other thing I read was that you got the opportunity to cook for Iron Chef Masaharu Morimoto.
I did.
That's fantastic. An 8-course dinner.
An 8-course regional Nebraska dinner. So. It took a little bit of deep digging, but a couple of the dishes, I remember doing a granita trio with black walnut. I got some heirloom apples down in Nebraska City. ask me what variety. This was many, many years ago. So I was able to, I actually, the catfish was sourced from none other than Joe Tess. So I know that was local. But Dan Morgan, I was doing some work with him and served his skirt steak. So I think Chef and his chef de cuisine definitely caught their attention, that I tried to stay within the framework of what some might see as a kind of a limited area as far as seasonal cuisine goes. And big honor to have been able to do that. Very, very friendly. I'm very fortunate I had the opportunity.
That's wonderful. And showcasing Omaha and Nebraska food at a national level and being part of, coming into the Hall of Fame here. I love the aspect of that about sharing Nebraska and Omaha with the world and vice versa, and what a neat opportunity. And when I had read that was seasonal ingredients and locally sourced ingredients, what I didn't know until just now was they were Nebraska locally sourced ingredients. So that's fantastic.
As much as possible, yes. It was not mushroom foraging season, so I had to go elsewhere for my mushroom consomme. But no, it was really kind of a highlight of my career. He almost tackled me. I guess he's very reserved, according to his chef de cuisine. But I have a picture mid-bear hug that the owner of the restaurant took. So that's a nice little keepsake. But
that's wonderful.
It was really, really an honor.
So from M's, which a decent size but not a gigantic restaurant, and then over to cooking for Masaharu Morimoto, and then over to PayPal. A flip to now taking care of 4,500 people. That's a few more covers a night there, Chef.
Well, if anyone has a chef in their life, they will probably understand that adaptability is paramount. It's very hard work. It was a lot of very satisfying work, but you don't get to see your family. You don't get to live in the current of life with most other folks. So at some point I transitioned to a 9-to-5, if you would, Monday through Friday, benefits, which were back then unheard of in the restaurant business. So I actually started in that area in Des Moines, Iowa. So I lived in Des Moines for 3 years. Also, before that, I was in Kansas City for 3 years. That was the last restaurant in the first half of my career. When you've been doing this 30 plus years, there are a lot of chapters. So.
Well, and speaking of new chapters and still, giving back to the world around you, besides the food that's getting delivered to a table. So you're currently at Udalali, correct?
Yes.
And so there you are not only putting smiles on diners' faces, but you're also helping formerly incarcerated individuals have a safe and valuable place to work. So tell me a little bit about that. That's quite an impact.
Boy, that just fell out of the sky for all practical purposes. I was most recently executive chef for Children's Hospital in Omaha. That was my retirement plan, I like to say. Wonderful organization, was very committed and had no intention of leaving. An old friend in the business, Ron Samuelson, who coincidentally used to own part of M's Pub, reached out to me about an opportunity for a restaurant with an educational piece. That was basically how it was couched to me. And Ron would reach out to me knowing that I didn't have any interest in moving from where I was, and usually would ask if I had anyone that I would refer. So I kind of volunteered myself for this opportunity. Said, well, I might be interested. So the more I learned about it, who was involved, the opportunity to be able to impart some of the bumps in the road, the good and the bad that I've experienced over my career, and be able to show folks without a lot of hope or prospects right out of the gate that it is possible it is possible to live your life. Your life does not stop from the moment that you made the bad decision, paid your dues to society, and you still have a lot left. It doesn't come overnight. And so partial mentor. I also try to be a touchstone also for to just give some hope, to let people know, it's not going to happen overnight. But if you have a conviction to get better and to live life differently, it can be done. If I can do it, anyone can do it.
Well, and I love that recognizing that just because somebody has made a decision in the past that maybe they regret, that there's still a path forward. And I have a feeling sometimes people just need to be told that the day, because they might get locked up of, I did this and I can't move forward. And just have somebody validate that, yes, you can. And by the way, I will help you is wonderful.
It is, I think to have that, even if it's just a kernel of hope, a place to come where everybody says hello and we work together with very little discord other than the, typical restaurant insanity. But day to day, our culture is very solid. And, just you have to be able to believe in yourself, and you have to know that doors are not going to open, automatically in a lot of situations, but empowering yourself with a skill and with a mindset to do better is a powerful thing. And gosh, my situation right now is that our food is helping us to get the message out, and I think we do a nice job. But at this point, it's all them. I have. We establish a foundation of some great people, and now kind of feeds on itself. So when we bring a new participant in, I have people in place that the new participant can say, oh, they're like me. My saute person never had seared a scallop before. And it's amazing when you take a little bit of time, also be able to believe in themselves. And consequentially now with the, some of the recognition we're getting, it's really important that I share that with everyone, with our staff and with our team, to say, this is you're doing this right now. We got it started, but this would not be happening on the day to day if it wasn't for our participants.
Setting that energy, that momentum forward
Absolutely.
is
sense
excellent.
of pride in what they're doing is just off the charts.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I will definitely come back around the table, but I want to send it down to Mr. Andy Reetz. Andy, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me here today.
Fantastic. Well, so your start was not at M's Pub, but was in fact, sounds like on a family farm.
I started on a family farm. I went to the University of Nebraska-Lincoln for all the wrong reasons. I thought I was going to be playing in the NFL as a linebacker, and after a couple of years of playing football there, I think Dr. Tom Osborne probably gets the credit for getting me kick-started in the food and beverage and the hospitality industry. We had a great talk, and he said I was too small and too slow to play linebacker and wanted to move me to offensive guard. And at that time, I said, hey, we have Will Shields and Zach Wiegert and Brendan Stye and Rob Zadika and Aaron Graham. Do you really think I can do it? They're 6'6" and 300, and I'm 6'1" and 220. And he goes, I don't know if you can do it, but you can't play linebacker. So, like I said, the start wasn't near as glamorous as Chef Case's, but that was a step into the hospitality industry for me. So, after I came home from that with that news, my girlfriend, fiance, and now wife, she goes, you need to get a job. You're going to be bouncing off the walls. I was still trying to finish my accounting degree, and I started working at Laszlo's Brewing and Grill in the Haymarket in Lincoln, Nebraska as a dishwasher. So once again, not near as glamorous. My career started as a dishwasher.
That's a great place to start, and having great respect for those dishwashers everywhere that keep everything running and going. They're indispensable.
Hey, I'll tell you what. 30 years later, if you don't have people doing that position, you know what, you're going to run into trouble pretty quick. So that's a position that's valuable, and you have to have the right people at that position too. So
well, and especially coming from a farming background, doing what you needed to do. If you need to get dirty and messy, you get dirty and messy, and you do that as a dishwasher or in any other position. But it sounded like the dishwasher position at Laszlo's kind of allowed you to grow further in management and hospitality, because I think you worked your way all the way up to GM at Laszlo's, right?
That's correct. So I spent 6 years there, and so my time as a dishwasher was pretty short. It was about 2 weeks, and I had some really great owners at Laszlo's, Jay Jarvis and Scott Bowles and Brian Bowles, and 3 people who I owe a ton to. I always say that in my 6 years there, I really got 18 years of experience.
Nice.
But Jay kind of took me under his wing and, got me on the line and taught me how to be a line cook and eventually a kitchen manager, how to do orders and scheduling and leading and managing people. And then eventually Scott wrangled me to the front of the house where I became the general manager. So I think I was there as the GM for about 3 years before luckily I ran into Candy Wolf, who was with Lincoln Poultry, was our sales representative, and she introduced me to Kim Brown, who eventually brought me into the private club, country club business. So then I spent the next, about 19 years at Hillcrest Country Club in Lincoln. So
Gotcha. And what roles did you have there while you were at the country club?
I was general manager.
Gotcha.
So, I still look back on it. I can't believe they hired a 26-year-old kid to run a
They wanted a deal, man. They wanted a deal.
to run a 75-year-old club. But they did. They hired a 26-year-old young man that, fortunately for me, I had, an accounting background.
Yeah.
Ran one of the busiest restaurants, certainly in the city of Lincoln. And like I said, in my 6 years there, I really got 18 years of experience. So, right place, right time. And luckily it was just a match made in heaven. So that was my introduction to the private club industry, and, just haven't turned back since.
It sounded like your hospitality and people-focused mentality also helped kind of grow membership. I read that you kind of had a family-focused approach to the country club is there, and that the membership kind of grew possibly because of those efforts, which I think is really neat.
Yeah. I mean, it certainly, growing up on a farm and, integrity, effort, attitude, all the values that, your parents teach you. And then, being in a team atmosphere, team sport at the University of Nebraska with Coach Osborne, building a team was the most important to me. Surrounding myself with good people, that was really important to us, or important to me. Having those right people around me, but also had a different view, how to see things, really helped us to build great teams, which then, translated to being able to touch the membership and do fun stuff for them. It's always been family focused, whether it was at Hillcrest Country Club or now for the last 8.5 years at Champions Run here in Omaha. Family focus has been the key for everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And from farmer to accountant to dishwasher to now CEO of Champions Run, correct?
So my official title is general manager, CEO, and really, really fortunate. I've got 2 great owners, brother, sister, Julie Horrigan Worth, and her brother, Clark Horrigan. 2 very smart people. They give our management team, myself, a ton of autonomy. Allows us, the freedom to do what we need to do. And once again, I go back to my comment that we want to do, really fun stuff with cool people, and, vice versa. And so having the right people on our team and then having the freedom from ownership to do those things makes the job really rewarding. And, I use the word job, but it doesn't feel like that. It feels like a place you want to go every single day.
Absolutely. And I think that when you have that place that you want to go, that energy and that positivity, people can feel that in the end product or the end staff, and probably helps from a leadership perspective too when you have somebody that actually enjoys being there as well.
There's words that we use a lot. It's the vibe. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. I mean, so we try to take that mentality so that our members feel it, but also more importantly, we want our staff to feel it and believe it too. So we want them to feel like that's the place they want to be.
Absolutely. And so you have that microcosm there that your that you're running, that you're working in day to day, but then you also give back, as I believe you're an advisor to both Metropolitan Community College here and then also to UNL in the capacity there too.
Yeah. So Chef O'Malley's, reached out and asked for, a little bit of advisement. I don't know if that's worth anything. And then obviously on the advisory board with the hospitality, restaurant, and tourism program at the University of Nebraska. But, Chef Case said something that was really important. And as I was listening to him, he was talking about giving back and that kind of that philanthropic reach.
Yeah.
And, that's something that's been really pretty important to us. And I think about it, and Chef O'Malley said this, years ago, unbeknownst to me, I did not know that he had worked at Champions before I was ever thought of.
Yeah.
So we've got a pretty good connection there. But, the amount of people that we're able to reach, whether it be through a golf outing, a philanthropic event, giving back, whether it's Children's Hospital or Special Olympics or the Salvation Army, it's not only nice to be able to give back to students, but being able to give back to the rest of the community as well. So, but yeah, Metro, the culinary program and the HRTM program at the university are two advisory boards that I do participate in.
Wonderful, wonderful. And so, Chef O'Malley, I want to make sure I give you some time here as well. Are there any questions that you would like to ask these two gentlemen, and or maybe just a little bit of context about the Omaha Hospitality Hall of Fame for people that aren't familiar?
Absolutely. It is the reason that we gathered today was to kind of celebrate and share the induction of these two people into the Hall of Fame. And it really is a recognition of career spent helping other people have incredible experiences, but also helping people get better at what they do. And that's the thing that's so beautiful about these two is that when you wonder about, why is Chef or why is Andy getting in the Hall of Fame, the first person you could ask is the person standing next to him in the kitchen or next to him at an event, and they'll give you a full list. And that, whatever's on that list is almost inconsequential compared to the fact that it's somebody that's working for them, saying, this guy that leads me deserves that accolade. And that piece of it is incredible. And so with Chef Case, one of the things I love is, he's an Omaha journeyman, right? There's 50 chefs in this town that have worked with him, for him, next to him, around him, and every one of them is excited for this as the year that Doug gets in the Hall of Fame. And that's also an incredible telling story that your comrades, right, the people that you've battled with, maybe got fired from or like that at the end of the day, you look back along all of that story and you see that it's the kind of career that came with all the successes and bruises that a regular career comes with. And the people you've interacted with say, yes, that's the kind of person that has made a positive impact and an indelible impact on our community. And it's a beautiful thing about the Hall of Fame is that, you can work your whole life and nobody ever really holds that mirror up to you and says, this is the impact that you've had. And so I'm glad that gets to happen for these two people as well, that the night of the induction dinner will be full of stuff like that in more embarrassing ways than I'll accomplish right now. So not that I'm accomplishing it that night either. I'm just there to point the camera at things. But it's a really cool thing to see. And Andy Reetz is right. Like what's happened at Champions where people feel like it's a place that you want to be is an incredible accomplishment. And those people that talk to me about it, sure, some are members. And so it seems like it's the point of the operation to make them feel that way. But the people that are the loudest about saying it's a place I want to be are people that work there. And so when that's the culture that you've created, that people get up in the morning and say, heck yes, this is a day I get to go to work, that it means something. And that's been happening over and over and over and over there is really impressive. And that's the short story of why the two of them are in. But the long story probably takes longer than we
might
got.
Need another
yeah.
So
but it's person by person, right? That each person that's interacted with them that has said, wow, this is what has happened to our scene or happened to the club scene in general, right? The club scene isn't known by the public, right? That if you're not a member of a country club, you don't know the vibe. But if you work there, you know the vibe. You don't have to be a member to know the vibe. But I will say that there is two marks in my understanding of the history of how it felt to be a member of a country club in Omaha. And they are from before Andy Reetz arrived and after Andy Reetz arrived. Because in the country club scene, that idea that it was going to be fun, not stodgy, maybe they don't say not stodgy, but fun and approachable and meaningful and a place people like being, that the kids don't whine to their parents when they're going to dinner at the club. They get in the car and they're excited. Sure, that change happened at Champions directly because of his influence. But what really happened is that's trickled now to almost every club at the city trying to keep up, right? We don't have another country club person getting inducted this year, so I can say stuff like this right now. But that's the real truth. That's what happened everywhere else now is starting to say that's kind of who we're supposed to be. And that's what it means to have had a Hall of Fame impact, is that an entire industry is saying we got to model ourselves after that. It's pretty cool.
I love it. And Andy, how did you feel when you knew that you were being inducted? How did that hit you?
Well, obviously honored, right? When I got the phone call, it was one of honor, probably a little bit of disbelief. Are you sure? I mean,
is there some other Andy Reetz that you're trying to call?
So definitely honored. But I really, when it resonated with me, it was, you know what? I work with a lot of really good people, and I have worked with a lot of really good people. And as much as, you know, it's one that you kind of want to just be a little sheepish about, hey, this is a award you got to stand up and accept because of the people that surround you and that have been with you. This is for them as well. So extremely honored. In fact, I'm really excited about the number of people that are going to come to the banquet. I think most of our entire team could make it there, at least from a senior management standpoint.
Great.
Because to me, it's really an honor for them.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
Definitely honored.
All right. Chef Case, how about yourself?
Well, same. We have the bulk of our staff is going to be there. I think we have 35 and counting right now that are going to come out, and I couldn't agree more. You know, this really is for them. The career is put together in little segments that don't always feel successful. You have to kind of go back and say, well, I had to go through this to get to where I am right now. And that's kind of how I would sum up my career. I did cross paths with you at Laszlo's, actually. I was the opening day expediter there. So
were you?
Small world.
Yeah, we're fresh out of culinary school.
We're going back a long time then.
Wow. No, it's just to be, recognized by your peers is really an incredible honor. Looking over the names and faces on the wall, such a history. I feel very, very privileged to be a part of that. Absolutely.
Wonderful. Well, this is my first time meeting you. I thank you so much for sitting down to tell me a little bit about yourselves. I am honored that you are being honored. You can hear the passion, the positivity in your voice from Chef O'Malley here, obviously, giving back to the community and those around you. One of my philosophies is that, a senior and experienced person in their field doesn't just make themselves better, but they make those around them better and their team better. And you clearly are doing that and making the world a better place. And we didn't even hit on all the other things that you've had, that you've done as well. So Andy Reetz and Chef Doug Case, thank you both so much for being with me this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
One of the 2025 Omaha Hospitality Hall of Fame honorees, Michael A. Kelley, is unfortunately no longer with us. Let me introduce you to Michael. Advocate and owner Michael A. Kelley was born December 21st, 1946 in Omaha, Nebraska. He attended and completed his education at Christ the King School, then Creighton Prep, and Creighton University, where he earned a law degree and spent years practicing law with his father, Thomas P. Kelley. As a lawyer, he represented countless bar and restaurant owners on liquor license and local regulatory matters. He founded and for years represented the United Retailer Liquor Association of Nebraska, which would promote the interests of bar and restaurant owners in the state of Nebraska. In 1977, together with his dad, the Kelleys opened Clancy's Pub on 72nd and Pacific, which quickly expanded to other locations, enjoying great success before selling the businesses in 2016. In addition, he owned the Zestos near Rosenblatt Stadium before eventually opening a Zestos and a Blatt Beer and Table downtown near the new home of the College World Series. Kelley was an avid golfer and sports fan who loved his Chicago Cubbies and Creighton Blue Jays. He raised 3 sons, Tom, James, and Sean, with his lovely wife Kathleen, and adored spending time with his 7 grandchildren. Hey, it's Dave back here at halftime on our 2-part episode. You got to meet 3 of the inductees for the 2025 Omaha Hospitality Hall of Fame. And now we're going to move to part 2 of our episode so you can meet the other 3 inductees. Again, my co-host is Brian O'Malley, Associate Dean of Culinary, Hospitality, and Horticulture at Metropolitan Community College, Institute for the Culinary Arts. And I also thank Metropolitan Community College for providing us a place to record and microphones and a table so that we could sit down and all connect with food. Here we go with part 2. This is Dave Zorko, and I am sitting in the MCC studios again at a very full table with wonderful people to bring some additional honorees from the Omaha Hospitality Hall of Fame 2025 induction that is happening shortly, or depending on when you listen, this may have already happened. It just depends. So, but without further ado, let's get some voices on the microphone. So, to my left, sitting here is Jim Major. Jim, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Fantastic. And over across the table there is Chad Hartmann. Chad, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Fantastic. And folks from the last episode may remember Chef Brian O'Malley.
Hey, everybody. It's great to be back. Brian. It's good to be back.
Brian is back. So, Chef, let's start with you, Jim. Let's talk a little bit about just kind of how you got your start. From what I understand, you actually got your degree from CIA in New York, correct?
Right.
So,
in 78.
Fantastic. And was how did you decide to attend the CIA there?
Well, I've always had a passion for cooking. I'd help my grandmother and my mother out. My mother worked, so I'd come home and before she would, and I'd start dinner a lot of times, and I just gravitated towards it. I enjoyed it. I found it very relaxing and kind of creative, come up with stuff. Sometimes it would go well and other times not so well. But, when you're young, you make a mistake here.
More spices always seem like the right choice.
For me. So that's kind of where I started. And then I started being, a busboy down at the wine cellar down in the market. And then I for the dinner theater, they had the Firehouse Dinner Theater. I was loading the line up when the food it needed to be replenished. And then I started carving as I got a little older and more experienced. And I said, I was going down to school in Lincoln, and I said, I really like this gig. I think I'm going to maybe take it a step further. So I talked to my mother, and we had a really good conversation, and she kind of headed me in the right direction to go to the CIA, and that's kind of where we headed. And I've never looked back. It's been a great ride.
Fantastic. And then were you back to Omaha in 79 with Abraham's Catering? Is that
correct?
Well,
I went to Colorado Springs after I graduated, and I worked at the Broadmoor Hotel as a roundsman. I was there for about a year. Then I have relatives out in Los Angeles, and I moved out to L.A., and I was working at a restaurant that's now closed. It was called Scandia's on Sunset Boulevard. It was a Scandinavian restaurant, and I mean, everything was made from scratch. The only thing I think they bought was their sourdough bread. Everything, the pastries, everything else was in-house.
Why don't we own a joint like that here, man?
I know. I mean, that place was crazy. And I mean, a lot of, known people would come in from the entertainment industry and stuff. So, they'd say like Ringo's out there tonight, or, one of the famous Marlon Brando or something,
Wow.
That's
so
cool.
it was kind of fun.
Wow. And the
the catering industry, there's a book called Hot Box that is kind of a behind the scenes into catering and large dinners and things like that. And at Institute for Culinary Arts, there's a rule about being able to adapt and engage. And from what I understand from catering and things like that, there's a lot of tricks of the trade and some things that maybe you don't find in the typical restaurant environment, as far as how you have to load, hot boxes up, or your prep before you go off site and things like that.
Absolutely. It's different. A la carte is different than catering. I mean, there's a lot of things that are similar, but I mean, like the holding times are different. You know certain foods that are going to hold up better than others, and it's I know a lot of the guys, I was telling Chad, that have come from the restaurant industry that go into catering, they have a hard time at the beginning to try to make that transfer. But they get it. After a few months, they got it down. So
I believe it's Hap Abraham
Yes.
is kind of a mentor of yours,
Yes,
and
he
now
is.
a family member.
Right.
Correct? So
he was married to my sister.
Wonderful.
So that's how another reason I kind of got into it is I saw Hap doing what he was doing. I was young, and I really was impressed with it. I thought, this is kind of a cool thing to be in, It's kind of, in a way, it's kind of the entertainment industry in a sense. You're going out and you're going into people's homes and, and you're doing really nice dinners for them. And it's kind of fun because you get to see a lot of different things and a lot of different situations. And, you'll be at the zoo one night or a museum one night or somebody's, $1 million home the next night. And you're kind of all over the map.
When you get to be there at kind of the best parts of the life, right? That when you're catering an event, it's probably a big deal. And so
it is.
The guests are, they're amped up. Like it's a fun thing to do.
It is. And
Yeah.
it's fun when you got certain clients that have been using you for many years, that you're the to-go caterer,
Yeah.
and that's always makes me feel good. And you got to always keep that up, You can never let your quality go down. You have to always hit for the high notes.
I'm going to spin the table around a little bit over to Mr. Chad Hartmann. Chad, how are you?
Doing great.
You got your start a little bit differently than Jim here. So I believe a couple of your first jobs in the hospitality industry were bussers at different places, correct?
Right. I started. I heard busboy there, Jim. That's good. That was my restaurant knowledge when I really got into the industry, and more so in '97. But going back in time during high school, 14, 15, 16, bussing tables at Beck's Continental Cuisine, eating all the breadsticks, cleaning the bathrooms.
Not at the same time.
I once found that we had the chef, Patrick Beck is his name. He's from France. And he gave me a couple rules. And I can tell you one of them I thought was really funny. It was, Chad, you should always have 2 girlfriends. Huh. And I said, that is horrible advice. I'm not taking it. And one time I found his watch in the men's room. I didn't know it was his watch. And it was one of those moments where, you do the right thing. So I grabbed this watch. I take it to him. I'm like, hey, somebody left this watch in the men's room. He looks at me and goes, that's my Rolex.
Wow.
Thank you, Chad. Thank you. Yeah, it was great. Wow. But I really enjoyed the restaurant business back then. I had this regular that came in all the time. His name is George LaPearl. He later hired me when I was in high school there. But George came in. He what you would consider a regular. 3-4 times a week, he'd come in with business clients, and then a couple times a week with his wife for dinner. And one day at lunch, he said, I've talked to Patrick. He said, it's okay if you sit down with me. And I sit down, and he said, what you're doing right now, you're serving people. It's the most honorable job that one can have. I want you to know that, Chad. This is a guy that's probably in his 80s back then. Mm-hmm. And he said, he got religious. He said, Jesus, wash the feet of the apostles. I just want you to know that. So you're in a good spot here. You just keep taking care of people. I thought that was wonderful life lesson. That at that age, I didn't know what it really meant. But later on in life, when I got back into what I'll call the restaurant business, I was really lucky to get a job at a distribution center called Cisco out of Lincoln, Nebraska. And because of my resume...
You're saying Cisco, like people haven't heard of it. Just
in case you didn't know, it's SYSCO, not the one that makes the routers or whatever, or computers. But that's how I then got into the restaurant business, was with Cisco there. selling groceries.
Well, and you also had kind of a path that I think gave you a pretty multifaceted resume coming in there too, because you also worked for a few trucking companies as well, and then also in sales prior even to Cisco.
So my family really encouraged me, especially my dad. My grandfather said, hey, you have this gift for gab. You need to get into sales. And I didn't know what it meant, but later learned like, okay, yeah, I could sell. I got a part-time job at Westroads Mall for Metro Paging and Cellular. Now, for you young fellas here, you may not remember this. We used to carry these little boxes around that were pagers. And I sold those part-time on the weekends, and I did that for a time. And then one day they called me and said, you realize you've sold more pagers and cell phones than our full-time employees. And we want to offer you an outside sales position calling at businesses. So I did that. And then one of my customers hired me for a lighting sales position. And then I thought, I'm going to go make it big, and I'm going to be an insurance sales guy, door-to-door, cancer insurance to farmers.
That's good.
And I did that for 2 years, straight commission. I didn't know it at the time. It was very difficult, as you can imagine. The strength that came from it, though, was learning how to interact with people. And then when I applied at Cisco, and how I even found it is I was on 108th and L. I'm sitting at the stoplight. I have a stack of resumes, and I'm driving around because my dad said the best jobs are never in the paper. We had newspapers back then. So anyway,
We've moved on from the pager to the newspaper.
So I follow this guy like a psycho. He's in a light blue Ford Taurus, and it says Pegler Cisco on it.
Yeah.
And he went to 96th and J Street. I followed him in, went inside. His name's Bob Lagaman. And I said, here's my resume. I'd like to drive one of those little blue cars around. And he sent my resume to Lincoln, and they called me. And for whatever reason, they saw my resume enough to give me a phone interview, turned into a 3-part interview. And then finally with Gary Reetz, who was the vice president of Cisco at the time. Remember him?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's in the Hall of Fame. Gary, I'm in the interview with him. It's a final interview. And he says, Chad, we're looking at your resume here. You don't even have an associate's degree. And we require that to be employed here. And I said, well, you're right. I don't. My wife's, got her nursing degree. And, I think I contributed a little bit to that. And, just talking, I don't know what to say. He goes, that's all right. I don't have a degree. And I'm the vice president of this company. And I said, oh,
I wonder
good.
how they made it a requirement.
I said, do I have a job? He goes, no. And they did hire me eventually. It took another few months, but that's what got me my real start back in the business.
Gotcha. And you were there roughly 20 years, and then you moved over to Green Valley Foods from
Yes.
there?
So Glen Valley Foods is a concept that Gary Rohr, who he's in the Hall of Fame, that he came up with to help drive meat sales again. He's always had a passion for that. He's been in the restaurant business multiple times. Really has great history. But that's when I went to Glen Valley Foods was 2016.
Awesome. And then from what I understand also, because of your efforts too in 2023, there's kind of a nice accolade given to Glen Valley Foods.
Yeah, and it was one of my favorite pictures that I have possession of, and to just what I consider legacies. Dave Warren had won an award that year for the Omaha Restaurant Association. I think we were Purveyor of the Year, but he had won an award, and then Alfie Cascio Steakhouse.
Oh, yeah.
And so I had that picture of all three of us. It was a wonderful moment.
I had a great moment talking to Alfie Cascio once when he was telling me that lettuce is one of the most dangerous things in the restaurant because people tend to choke on that more than anything.
No kidding?
Yeah. In fact, the day when I had talked to him, I think he had actually had to save somebody. I gave him the Heimlich at the table because they had a lettuce leaf just go whoop at the back of their throat. So hospitality and life-saving.
Do they not cut their lettuce down there? What's going on?
I don't know, Chef. We might need to
chop that up. Man. I got to say, like listening to Gary speak, like there's this incredible like setup of who Gary Rohr is who I'm talking about, right? So who's the founder of Glen Valley, like his passion and support of Chad as a person is mind-blowing. I mean, I don't always have the opportunity to talk to people's bosses about how their guys are doing, but I got that chance with Gary not 100 years ago, but it was a minute ago, and to see the value of somebody that you've brought in and that ostensibly you're leading, but to see that no, this is the person that's going to change who we are and make us a place that's incredible, and that's what he was counting on. It's so cool to hear it and to also see that it comes true, right?
Absolutely.
Which is an accolade to you. You talk about not having an associate's degree when you got your job at Cisco. There's 3 things that you mentioned in your conversation there that are really impressive, though. So the story about service, the story about integrity, but then the story about initiative, right? That chasing down the Cisco car, like those 3 things are givens that we hope students have when they show up, right? They aren't things that you get when you go chase down a degree, when you do that work. Getting a degree is hard work. Don't want to discount that. That's what I do for a living, is help people do that. Right. But those 3 things that you're talking about, those aren't things that are on the course objectives, right? But they are the things that every person wishes the person sitting next to them had more of when they go to work, right? That somebody that is willing to give to other people the best they can, that will not do it on the sly, right? That could have pocketed a $10,000 watch. Luckily, he didn't probably know that it was worth $10,000 at the moment. Like, what's this sparkly thing?
It could have been a Casio.
They're hungry to get better.
Yep.
Always better themselves. You betcha.
Yeah. It's an honor to have you in.
Thank you.
For real.
Yeah, and I believe also you have some efforts with like No More Empty Pots and the food bank as well. So you're actually, giving back to the community through those organizations too.
Yeah, we tried to focus on different, those are examples. We've also done some helped out. There's a group that really touched us deeply here recently, Hope Esperanza. They're a kind of Latino-based group, but they do a lot of good. Just anybody that's trying to do good, I'm interested in. Omaha Restaurant Association, obviously, you're helping students get money that they need to go to school. We want that. Right. And then with the Nebraska Hospitality Association, helping restaurateurs kind of protect their best interest. These are things that drive us for sure.
And I'm gonna spin it back to you, Jim, a little bit there too. Going back, way back in time, cooking with your grandmother and your mom and things like that. Longtime listeners of this show, I often talk about my grandmother's cinnamon rolls, one of my favorite things to talk about, and still can think that and her beer rocks. But do you remember any dishes or anything that really kind of stuck with you over time?
She was of Polish descent, so a lot of the stuff was, from the old country, like stuffed veal pocket, cabbage rolls, some
galunki and some pierogi.
Exactly. Pierogi, yes, the potato and cheese pierogi. And then she'd do her own Polish sausage and smoke it with the apple wood from her yard. She'd make her own pickles.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
Can you have grandmother envy?
I mean,
like my grandma put peanut butter on celery.
Exactly.
And we watched Dallas. Like, that's not the same as making pierogi.
It's not. You couldn't go to the store and buy all this stuff like you can now. I mean, you had to make, they made their own beer, their own root beer, their own wine. Yeah. I mean, they had orchard, and every kind of vegetable you could imagine during the summer, growing it, and they would pickle it and can it and whatever.
Yeah. I mean, that shoots you through with this respect for the craft that's obvious in how you show up at work every day. I mean,
every day.
Chances I've had to work with you on things, that was always at the top of the list. Like, we can't do that if it's not going to turn out right. Like, we can't try to pull that off and do it for 500 people. No. Wait a minute, we got to go do that in a field. What are you talking about?
You have to. There's certain things where you just got to say, no, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Because you don't want a disaster on your hands.
Brian, when we were on our last episode talking to, kind of gave you the floor a little bit to talk a little bit about the award itself and what that means to be inducted, and being that we're talking to another group of inductees, maybe I'll flip it over your way a little bit again.
Absolutely. I mean, the Omaha Hospitality Hall of Fame, I mean, you both know this, right? I mean, you're in circles where it's not untouched by the Hall of Fame anyway, right? Hap is in, Gary's in, Kim Brown. I mean, you come from pedigrees that have already kind of grown in this direction, so you see that the accolade is not really as much about praise and recognition as it is about bestowing an honor and an expectation that you continue to kind of live and move with this integrity and intensity and engagement in such a way that makes the whole field better. And I'll tell another story about Chad. We were doing a series for our students on the sales, like we called it Sales Basics. Not trying to turn culinary students into salespeople, but just like, well, how does the sales process work, right? Kind of a marketing class. And the thing that students took from it, that they took from Chad that was so wonderful, is that the most important job is to figure out what the other person needs. And then if you can give that to them, do. And if you can't, well, don't tell them you can't.
Yeah.
And that's the same at catering. Like, you got to hear what people want. And if you can give it to them, heck yes.
Yes.
But when you can't, you don't
You owe it to 'em.
oversell your abilities.
Don't promise something you can't do.
It's the worst.
It is the
Kelly
worst.
McGillis says you can't write checks your body can't cash. No, maybe that was Tom Skerritt. I forget. My Top Gun referencing
Yes.
ability isn't as good as it used to be. But that's what Hall of Fame says, is that you've shown that that's the way you're living, and that then you're now in this crew that's got to keep doing it, right? That it's not a Lifetime Achievement Award. It's now a bucket to carry the rest of the way.
I see it as people that have such passion for the industry, whether you're selling it or, behind the scenes doing it, or the chef doing it, or wait staff. I mean, whatever. You have passionate about what you do, the craft. And that to me is so important to bring to the table. And you can see the people when they come in and you're hiring them, if they have that fire in their belly.
The difference between having the passion for it and it being a Hall of Fame career is that the impact it has on everybody else around you, right? That the 4 other sales guys on that panel walked out better for having had Chad on it. Every cook that's come through HAPS since you've been there walks out better figuring out how to channel their passion into effective, productive work because you've been there. It's that giving that raises the others around you that is the thing. Everything else, be on the ORA board, give to charities, be in the field for 40 years. Lots of people do all that stuff. It's that a guy standing next to you says, I'm better for this because I spent my time with one of these guys. That's the difference, right? That you gave it away and other people got better. And that's the truth for the two of you, period. So it's an honor to have both of you.
Well, it's an honor to be in it.
Well, one more thing before we kind of turn the faders down here on the microphone. So, Chef Major, can you tell me just a little bit about when you found out that you were getting this award? So, how did that make you feel?
It made me feel good. I felt, well, I've been doing this for over 40 years. I go, it's my time, so I'm going to take it. And I feel very blessed that I was able to be part of it. And I'm with people who are passionate, like Chad sitting next to me. I could tell the man's got a lot of passion in what he does, and it's inspiring. So yeah, I was happy.
Excellent. And Chad, how about yourself?
Shock, surprise. I'm grateful. These are all things that truly happened. And my wife's probably one of my best coaches in my life. And she just looked at me and said, you deserve everything. And, I like to think of it as it's a true honor from people that I just respect. I've been going to, I showed you, Mr. O'Malley, a few years ago, I take a picture every year of the invitation, and I've kept a pretty decent log of that. And all those names, that's what made it such an honor is when I know that these are people that I've respected so much over the years, and just grateful.
So now I've got the opportunity to talk to 4 different 2025 inductees, and the ability to grow people outside themselves to give back to the community, the heart that is there that you hear, the multifaceted experience that even led you to where you are today is varied in nature, and it's just so neat to see. And you can tell that being inducted there, with a pantheon, maybe is the right word, a group of wonderful people that
A gaggle, I
Ooh,
think.
yes, definitely. Is that an
A
official
coven? I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is.
a brigade?
There we are.
Okay,
There we are.
all right. Of people that have
Brigade. We got to say it fancy
Ooh,
too.
that's
You know?
very nice. That have just given back and well, as we have just done just now, put some smiles on people's faces, on each other's faces, and your guests and anybody that you're helping out. And I just think that's fantastic. So Chef Jim Major and Mr. Chad Hartmann, thank you guys so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just did a little simple math, Jim. I don't know if you've ever done it, but I just took a ballpark of if you were catering 50 weeks a year and doing 1,000 covers a week, you probably did more than that.
And last week we did, yeah.
But
for
so
sure.
let's call it 1,000 a week.
Yeah,
50
easy.
weeks a year over your career. Have you
Oh, I'm sure.
2 million?
I believe
That's
that.
2 million
I believe that.
people that you've fed.
Yeah.
Like all other things aside, right? You could be a total pain in the ass person, and 2 million should probably still get you in the Hall of Fame. That's a lot of
Hey,
sandwiches.
I got gray hair to prove it.
You
Too.
do have gray hair to prove it. You have gray hair to prove it. I mean, I saw in here though that you're born in '55. I wasn't going to believe that.
I know,
That's crazy,
well,
man.
hey.
You look great.
You do.
Well, it's all that steam in the kitchen.
Steam
that keeps you
and
looking
the
young.
clean living, and the steam table dinner, right? Just
doesn't
eat whatever's left. 2 million though. That's legit.
That's a lot,
That's
man.
fully legit.
Cool.
That's a lot of smiles and a lot of full tummies.
It is.
One of the 2025 Omaha Hospitality Hall of Fame honorees, Loren W. Koch, is unfortunately no longer with us. Let me introduce you to Loren. Restaurant owner Loren W. Koch was born January 23, 1947 in Beatrice, Nebraska, attending Clatonia High School and UNL, where he studied journalism and hospitality. Cook's first foray into the hospitality industry was managing the Lincoln, Nebraska Shakey's for a 6-year stretch in the 1960s. He spent the next 5 years with his crew at Here's Johnny's, completing formal management training with the restaurant in Wisconsin in 1972. During this time, he indulged his desire to travel, visiting California where he became fascinated with the hospitality tenets of missions and monks, fleshing out his vivid vision for what would become Brother Sebastian's Steakhouse. After months of designing and building, in April 1977, his dream became reality and an Omaha steakhouse staple was born. Cook poured his heart and soul into the establishment, creating a warm and welcoming space for patrons to enjoy good food and good company. His caring and nurturing management style was evident in the longevity of employment of many of his workers. The restaurant enjoyed many accolades from local press and served as a celebration spot for countless couples and families. During the early 1980s, Cook's entrepreneurial spirit took charge of a quaint lounge, breathing new life into its character and ambiance. Loren founded Dunlop, Bradbury, and Abercrombie's as a gentleman's lounge and restaurant, and years later he reimagined it as a fine dining restaurant known as Abercrombie's. With an eye for detail and an innate sense of style, the visionary created an atmosphere with both restaurants that seamlessly blended sophistication and warmth. He leaves behind a legacy that will continue to thrive in the hearts of those who are fortunate enough to share in his journey. Besides his sister and 2 surviving brothers, Loren considered all of his employees and many patrons and community members to be family. Thank you everyone for joining us on our episode all about the 2025 Omaha Hospitality Hall of Fame inductees. Again, the Hall of Fame was created in 1993 and is focused on recognizing achievement in the hospitality industry. The 6 inductees for 2025 were restaurant manager Andy Reetz of Champions Run, Chef Jim Major of Abraham Catering, restaurant owner Loren W. Koch of Brother Sebastian's, advocate owner Michael A. Kelley of the United Retail Liquor Association of Nebraska, purveyor Chad Hartmann of Glen Valley Foods, and Chef Doug Case of Oodalali. My co-host was Brian O'Malley, Associate Dean of Culinary, Hospitality, and Horticulture at Metropolitan Community College Institute for the Culinary Arts. My thanks to Metropolitan Community College for producing and scheduling and all the things that allowed us to put this episode together. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our podcast. Please share it with somebody. Connect with us on social. We like to grow. We like to know that the words on these microphones are making it out into the universe, that you're enjoying what we're putting together. And we like to grow. It's nice to know that we're making an impact. And hopefully this episode was enjoyable to listen to and you were able to connect with food. This is Dave Zorko. And until we eat again, stay hungry. Bye.
Saturday Omaha.
Eat this.